two other tempo controllers as your other cores. Maybe a little bit utility heavy, but it's been working out for them, at least to reasonable success.
It's always just like, random hero almost for Sax EGM, like, the Winter Wyverns, the Dazzles.
Yeah.
Get Bambo like a Bat Rider, mix in a Night Stalker there, or a Beastmaster, and then just get Pycat a Shadow Fiend. And I don't know how they keep on winning by running the same strategy over and over again versus all these teams, but if you can get the wins, man, you get the wins. So at this point, MVP Phoenix should have seen enough of 4Clover's games to know what's going on. It seems like 4Clover's actually going to take out the Shadow Fiend. Worth noting that the 4Clover side, they're on the dire side, so already not as super strong Shadow Fiend, at least not as strong as possible, and also MVP Phoenix at first pick.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting to see what MVP Phoenix go ahead and ban out here. Do you think they're going to play the IO this game, or are they going to leave it in the pool or ban it out? What's the option that they opt for?
It's definitely likely that 4Clovers are going to be looking to grab an IO if possible. I feel like they haven't really had as much success with IO in the past couple of games as compared to the strategy that we were just describing a little bit earlier. That being said, it's definitely a possibility for MVP Phoenix to pick it up right now. Outside of that, I mean, if you ban out the IO right now, I'm pretty sure MVP Phoenix, no matter what, should be angling for a Tusk first pick, unless they have a really specific strategy in mind. And, given game 1 of NLG versus MVP, they definitely did have a very specific strategy. So, I don't know, maybe they have some secret tech to go up against 4Clovers.
Look, go ahead and ban out the Darks here, but I do like it when they get their hands on the Tusk. It feels like it's a hero that fits their playstyle, and they have had good success with it in recent times. Well, as far as 4Clovers next ban, they're going to take out that Tusk. So what's the response for MVP? If they give away an IO Tiny, that feels very risky. Doom is going to be the first pick. IO Tiny instantly snapped up by Forcino.
Well, I mean, as powerful as Doom is, and he is very powerful, the power level of the hero is kind of mitigated when the enemy has an IO. First of all, healing matches up with that Doom very well. Yeah, you're silenced sometimes, but you can work around that by using Relocate, either to bring reinforcements in, or to take that Doomed hero out. And also, we've seen 4Clovers. We've seen so many teams in this tournament just tear up the entire house with IO Tiny. In this tournament, in any game of Dota ever, really, IO Tiny is something to be absolutely terrified of. And, I mean, MVP Phoenix, I guess they should be kind of happy that they have the Doom. Now, grabbing a Witch Doctor, actually, with Winter Wyvern as an option, I mean, hell, even with Dazzle as an option, I feel like Winter Wyvern would have been just so much stronger than Witch Doctor. Nothing wrong with Witch Doctor, but you curse up IO and Tiny doesn't show any mercy.
And also, I'm not sure if Witch Doctor would have been banned out. It feels like it's a hero that you probably could have, even if you want to go for it, left it for 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I mean, as far as fitting into any specific strategies of this Witch Doctor, it is still decent versus the IO Tiny having the cask. Maybe you double Maledict. I mean, maybe if you're in Magical Christmas Land for MVP Phoenix, and given the weather outside, we may just be in Magical Christmas Land. The upside of Winter Wyvern up against 4Clovers draft would have been just so huge, and now you have a chance to give 4Clovers that hero themselves, and you get some, really, really intense sustainability. Maybe for 4Clovers, they're just going to go ahead and do a very similar strategy to what we saw earlier from them, where they grab, the really big heroes. It was, well, Tiny Doom, Brewmaster. Obviously, it's not going to be happening exactly the same this time, but a whole lot of big heroes, a whole lot of healing behind them, and then just run a very, very slow, never-ending push train onto the MVP Phoenix side. Viper, definitely tanky enough to fill that role if needed.
Yeah, and that should be Nikwa's hero, and also left inside the pool is the Bat Rider for Bambo. It kind of feels like 4Clovers are going to get a lot of very comfortable, very signature heroes, or at least have the option to go for that.
Doom is definitely not the flashiest hero for the MVP Phoenix side. I feel like both QO and Mental Protector, maybe not to the extent of Hero, but they definitely want to be on those heroes that you can make big plays with. Doom, yeah, I mean, he's solid, but are you really going to want to Doom up a Tiny? Are you going to want to Doom up a Viper? Probably not. I mean, Doom still can be very disruptive, just being in the middle of the fight, being very difficult to kill off, especially with that Scorched Earth, and, I mean, no Ancient Apparition in this game, but as far as being disruptive, that's nice, but it seems like this hero already, with the heroes that MVP Phoenix have let through the pool, is kind of going to get gimped as far as the possibility for, Doom's peaks.
Now, as far as heroes for MVP Phoenix, maybe go for something like an Ember Spirit, or Gyrocopter works just fine too. And carry that's able to fight, contribute very early on, then once you get that level 6, has a lot of power. It kind of feels like MVP Phoenix right now are just picking up generally good selections here in their draft.
it kind of feels just like a pile of heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no synergy really to speak of between these heroes, and well, for Four Clovers, I mean, even if they didn't have any synergy in the world, which I mean, they do have limited synergy between their heroes. I mean, Iotiny, I mean, that's a no-brainer right there. These are the Four Clover heroes. This is what they pick up, and this is what we've even seen some teams respect ban out from the 4CL side. So I guess the question is, how do MVP Phoenix make this pile of heroes an actual team? And Gyrocopter, a very self-sufficient hero in the safe lane. Doom, if you send him towards off lane, you know, will have an okay time, let's say, and he'd always fall back into the jungle if needed. But outside of that, I mean, they have the cooldown timing and they have the Doom timing. Two very, very explosive, one literally explosive ultimates that can win you fights, make you get objectives. You actually get those two at a relatively decent timing, and if you group up together. So I kind of want to see MVP Phoenix go for some sort of early game tempo play or early game timing push where Four Clover's Tiny may not be ready to fight, or the Bat Rider doesn't have Blink Dagger. I don't know if they could really get in under that timing. It's very difficult, but I feel like that's the best way for MVP Phoenix to really abuse the heroes that they have.
Maybe pick up something like I wasn't going to mention it, but you know what? Jakiro works. We've seen this from MVP Phoenix in both of their series previously. Should be for Ryzen. And it is very good against the Tiny and IO both. They're generally going to be pretty clumped up. Long range stun if he can catch the Bat Rider as he's jumping in, but more than anything it's for the Liquid Fire and just a way to transition any early momentum into tower pushes. It definitely could work out for MVP Phoenix.
Certainly a clunky hero. If you get on top of him with, you know, any of the Four Clovers heroes, the Jakiro is just going to melt. Again, MVP Phoenix are almost conceding their super late game. I mean, you can have decent tools up against the Iotiny, Macropie or Ice Path. It does quite a bit of magic damage onto the both of them should they relocate in, but really they're going to try to pressure out this Bat Rider ASAP, get into the towers, and then almost like rotate around, just take all the towers. It should be a mid lane selection here for MVP Phoenix as their last one, not going to be that Razor. But yeah, this Jakiro is pretty much the most aggressive thing that MVP can do, and I mean, it's probably their best bet for getting into the Four Clover side before the Bat Rider comes online, before the Iotiny get a super amount of levels and relocate comes up.
I suppose the nice thing for MVP Phoenix's draft is even though they're going to be pressuring early, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to actually break the high ground necessarily, as long as they're constricting the map space from Four Clovers, so they have that going for them. Now, as far as 4CL's last pick is concerned, maybe just go for something like a Winter Wyvern here. Strong lane support, hardly ever bad, and surprisingly unbanned.
Yeah, I don't really see a huge reason not to go for that. That being said, if you expect to get pushed a little bit earlier, you kind of do want to have supports that are a little bit more brawl ready. Night Stalker, not in the pool, Tusk not in the pool, so those aren't options.
So go for Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, it's going to be Spirit Breaker. I was going to mention Undying as another potential solution there, or I guess not solution, another hero they could have gone for, but you know, Undying, Spirit Breaker, Night Stalker, usually those pseudo support heroes that you're going to consider if you expect to have a lot of action, and we've seen Four Clovers play Spirit Breaker quite a lot in their past couple games.
Now, the one thing Four Clovers do need to be careful of is it's very easy to overextend with these heroes because they're going to be feeling incredibly strong when you're a Tiny partner up with the IO, but now an Alch pick for MVP Phoenix. Interesting. I'm not sure if this Alchemist is going to get enough space to actually get the farm, but if they do access that late game, you have a Doom with Aghanim Scepter, potential refresher later down the line. You have a Gyrocopter Alchemist. Even though they are a little bit more on this aggressive train early with the Jakiro, they have a safety net and they can take this game late.
I mean, as powerful as Alchemist is in the late game, he's just not really the hero that you want to have going up against a Tiny. You need a BKB, or you need some way to protect yourself up against that craggy exterior. Otherwise, you're attacking with, what, like 3 attacks a second? And every single time you attack, you're rolling the dice to you know, take some damage. Who cares about the damage? But it's the stun that really is going to kill the Alchemist. So this Alchemist is probably going to have to be one of the most aggressive Alchemists we've seen in this tournament. We haven't really seen that many. I think we saw one today, and maybe there was one yesterday. Not like a super high success rate, not a super high pick rate from these games so far. But Medallion, Solar Crest, you know, going for AC, going for Basher. If you try to power farm as this Alchemist, you may or may not actually get those items, and you know, it'll be fine if you do, but it's not going to reward you a ton, because Four Clover's late game, their answers to an Alchemist, their answers to, you know, really big individually farmed heroes are so abundant in the Tiny, in the Spirit Breaker control, and of course the Bat Rider Lasso.
Well, to introduce our teams as we get underway inside this game, QO is going to be playing that Alchemist. MP is going to be handling Your gyrocopter going bottom, supported by Ryzen on the Jakiro. And the other support is going to be Dubu on the Witch Doctor, leaving Forev on the offlane Doom.
Overs, they're going to send the IO into the hands of EGM. He's going to be joining Bambo's Batrider for just a little while, but I don't know how long he's going to stay there. Nico's going to be handling the Viper, got Saxa on the Spirit Breaker, and Pycat is going to be handling the Tiny for the upteenth time. And 4Clover is very much so in their comfort zone right now, and usually you have lanes for Alchemist where it's, you know, Alchemist versus any given hero. It's an okay lane for Alchemist. Going up against an IO Tiny dual lane, perhaps. I'm not really sure where they want to land these heroes, although Viper definitely is gearing up as if he's going to be going mid. The flexibility here from 4Clovers is no matter what their lanes are going to be lanes where they can kill off this Alchemist. And they are even going to try to contest this first bounty rune.
That would be really nice for them if they could stop it, but it looks like Kyo has everybody around the corner, so they're not going to full-heartedly go for that contest. They'll sit on the bounty rune bottom, probably give that the way of EGM, or actually no, looks like Nico is coming down for it.
Hey, as long as you don't let Alchemist get both. I don't think I've seen it yet.
Disaster.
I don't think it's ever happened. And I hope that no team has to experience the potential pain that ensues after you see an Alchemist getting 2 level 1 bounty runes. Might as well just leave the game right there, but for right now, Dubu's going to be chilling in the mid lane along with Kyo, at least until the Acid Spray comes up online. Level 1 Alchemist is a really, really bad hero, but he'll get a little bit of help and he should be just fine. And it seems like EGM is actually going to hang around this bottom lane with Pycat going up against Forev. Now, killing off this Doom is no easy feat. They can do this. Just run at him and punch him and use the toss just for stun duration. They're probably not going to get killed until Avalanche comes up, but man, this is a lot of efficient damage.
He doesn't have Scorched Earth. Maybe it is a kill. They right-click the creep. They're diving for the tower toss in. Pycat not going to secure it, and Forev is going to survive if only just. Oh, they needed a little bit more damage, and maybe if that attack from IO connects instead of on the creep wave, they could have pulled it off. I'm not exactly sure. I think Doom probably would have survived. He's going to have to make his way all the way back towards base, but up towards top, a similarly aggressive lane coming out from MVP Bash, coming out from Saxa. He is going to trade a little bit with Ryzen, but does need to respect the Gyrocopter. Actually, Gyro's level 1, went for Flak, so Spirit Breaker should know that, and they'll be comfortable, at least for now.
Getting kills on Bambo or Saxa or whoever is on the top lane is going to be damn near impossible for this Gyrocopter. Should he have gone for Rocket Bar's level 1, so I don't mind the selection of Flat Cannon. I'm actually kind of surprised that Ryzen has absolutely no mana here. Like, he's just been dumping that into the Batrider mostly, and I guess, you know, Batrider doesn't have any more tangos, has no more regen really, but Jakiro is a hero that, I mean, he's only level 1, so you need Liquid Fire if you're going to keep up with that harassment. So I feel like this Jakiro may have just blown his load a little bit too early, a little bit too often.
Gonna get charged, stealing the regeneration rune. Saxa is going to be able to snipe that, and EGM will get the bounty rune bottom. Or at least secure it for the team.
EGM definitely floating around, and at the very least wants to provide this Tiny with enough mana to combo anyone who's going to be in his lane. Seems like it's not going to be the Doom for right now for Ev. He has grabbed a creep, he has, you know, cleared out 1 camp, I think, but you're not exactly doing the best. He's going to rejoin this bottom lane, but Alchemist, he now does have the Acid Spray, and that is his tool going up against Nico to try to hold this lane. Now, that being said, if the 4Clover side want to have EGM playing this kind of, I don't know if I've ever said this before, roam heavy IO, like, you know, helping the Tiny, helping out the mid lane Viper, or having a charge come in from Saxon, then this Alchemist can very easily drop.
Yeah, and I think that's something that 4Clovers will be very interested to do. Maybe IO plus Sexy Bambo go to try to steal the Alchemist stacks over on the sidelines. Right now, Alchemist is going to prepare his first in the large camp.
It is definitely very possible for 4Clovers to punish this. It is kind of inconvenient that Bambo here that can probably easily clear off the stacks, or most easily clear off the stacks for 4Clovers all the way up on top lane, but if they catch wins 4Clovers that these stacks are being created, and you're going up against a mid Alchemist, you should know about this. Oh, mid lane actually.
Oh, out gonna throw out the stun towards Nico. The Viper dropping low, but then again, so is the Alchemist. Neither one can actually go for that kill, and both will salve.
Drinks for everyone on this bottom lane. The lane will continue as per normal, but again, you were expecting this Alchemist to go towards the mid lane. He is in the mid lane. You can expect there to be stacks. Therefore, you can expect Sexy Bambo to... I mean, he's going to want to use the Blink Dagger to kill off the Alchemist anyway, but even before he grabs his Blink and level 6, he can steal those stacks, or at least look to pressure it.
No, the Tiny does have level 3. If he had level 4, maybe that's even a kill onto the Doom. It's a really hard sell. They won't actually end up going for anything.
Forev is actually bulking up decently. Of course, now he has Scorched Earth, and it should be level 2 momentarily, but outside of that, getting both the Stout Chill and the Ring of Protection, yeah, you can take a lot of magic damage, especially to a full combo that will not 100-0 Doom. It pretty much never will. Still, Pycat, as long as he has an IO behind him with that bottle, able to do that almost completely freely.
And now Doom is pretty much at 100% HP. That's ridiculous, and the Tiny is going to take the lesser half of that exchange, but with IO, he is going to be sustained, at least if they had bottle charges, which they currently don't. They'll TP in the Bat Rider in order to refill that up and keep Pycat down here.
I wonder if Bambo is going to stay down here. He may just look to go into the enemy jungle. There's not much that a Bat Rider can do level 4 unless you somehow find 7 stacks of Napalm out of nowhere, which I don't expect to happen. This is leaving the top lane completely empty. I don't really know why why Saxa isn't going back into the lane, why no one is going up towards top lane, although I do understand why Bambo is going down here, so he can do this. Gonna get a read on how many stacks there are. He's gonna see if it's not actually that huge, but it doesn't matter because this is all gonna be stolen.
Oh, the Alchemist is going to ping it out. They know exactly what the Bat Rider is doing. Can they appropriately respond? Ryzen is level 3, 2 points up in the Dual Breath. We saw this earlier from him. He really does prioritize that Q. It does quite a lot of damage. Bambo going to start opening up with 5 stacks of the Napalm, the Liquid Fire, Dual Breath. Can Jakiro steal any of these CS away from the Bat?
Nope.
Looks like the answer is no, although the Jakiro actually does get the Wild Wing Ripper.
He got one of them. It's not bad, I guess. It definitely could be worse, but
the worst part's that Alchemist doesn't get anything from it.
And Bat Rider, of course, gets the majority of it. And now Saxa's in the lane, is free to get a little bit of experience. So Bambo, it's not the cleanest stack to steal in the world. I mean, it wasn't that huge to begin with, so the upside there wasn't as high as it could have been, but still, you're messing with the MVP support heroes, you're forcing out rotations, at the same time taking minimal losses as far as experience being gained, gold being gained in your other camps. So it's a very small move from Bambo, but it is going to take a lot of gold out of the pockets of the Alchemist, and he does still have a couple of stacks to work with. But
EGM! Bash from Roshan, can he get out of here? He doesn't have mana for another tether. Can he get the deny? Not gonna happen. Ryzen drew the aggro, and that's gonna be first blood for MVP.
Io just finding himself in a little bit of a corner. He having a tether target, yet not having enough mana to do so. Saxa is charging in towards Ryzen, but Haste Rune Jakiro, you're not gonna catch up to that.
And even if he did catch up, the amount of attack speed still from Jakiro is ridiculous to deal with Spirit Breaker. Even though he is a level 5 hero, he probably just doesn't have the damage. You won't get many attacks off bottom lane, however. Pycat, he wants to find an angle. Can they get in range? Avalanche is going to be thrown. Dubu is not going to be tossed. He'll toss the Doom instead. Dubu dropping low. The Spirit Breaker charge through. Cancelled by the concoction thrown by the Alchemist. Now slowed down by the Dual Breath. Batted down by the Alchemist and the Doom. He'll be able to get that kill. 2-0 for MVP. And now EGM looks like he's going to be another one tethering over towards the Tiny. He will survive under his tower with a couple of bottle charges. So he'll be able to stick around here.
Losing Spirit Breaker, not the end of the world here for Clovers, but pressuring this bottom lane against...
Avalanche toss again. Trev, looks like he's just going to be fine. Ice Path, EGM, maybe not so lucky. Tethers over to the Tiny again. But one more smack. Doom gets the kill. Toss onto Forev. Not going to be lethal. Sick charges. Running away. They have the charge onto him. They know exactly where he is. Pycat has another Avalanche. That's going to be a dead Forev. One more smack. And that'll secure it. 3-1 is the kill score. Win the dust settles.
Charge is coming in. Pycat manning up. Ryzen has another Dual Breath. Is that lethal damage on the Tiny? It just may be, but Saxa should be able to kill off Ryzen afterwards. Needs just one more hit. Empowering Haste. He's not fast enough because the Jakiro has shoes and Saxa does not. I guess they don't lose the Tiny, so things not going as bad as could be going for 4 Clovers, but they also lose the Viper. Okay, now it is going as poorly as it can be.
The Jakiro and the Spirit Breaker are actually at the exact same movement speed. But yeah, that Viper kill is going to help out MVP. The Truck Ton, this Alchemist, although he's not CSing as well as the Viper, Bambo is going to come into his lane. He's still the top net worth inside this game since he's been able to secure a couple Bannerds and maybe even more importantly, be involved in 3 kills. He is going to go for one of those more aggressive builds. Turning around, he has 2 points in the stun. Can he get that to connect onto Bambo? Looks like he's going to stun himself, but probably will be fine. Going for phase boots, presumably Medallion next.
Oh man, the Spirit Breaker's 9 experience away from another strike. I dare say if he did have that, they could have at least considered going for that kill on the Alchemist, since they saw the fact that he stunned himself, and they have a lot of extra time to capitalize on that.
He does have that other strike now.
Well, he's kind of close to the Alchemist, but now he's chemical raged up, so it's pretty much impossible to get the kill there. But for right now, MVP, we'll see how aggressive they can actually be with the Alchemist. We've seen already him make a rotation down to the bottom lane, very successful one at that. We have a charge up towards top lane, though. MP is completely tapped out of mana.
This is a gyrocopter. He has 10 wand charges and the mango, so he's going to be able to pop one rocket barrage, but a nice flame break from Bambo. Should be able to chase this one down. Everybody's converging on the gyrocopter. Another rocket barrage, salving up, toss forward, and he's going to get sat on by the Spirit Breaker. Ice Path is going to connect onto Saxa. Can he get any return kills? Here comes that Alchemist. Phase Boots are there, as well as the Concoction stun. Try and get in range. Flame Break, and the Alchemist is going to stun himself yet another time. Really good kill for 4 Clovers, although it does cost them a lot of commitment from a lot of different heroes. I think that's perfectly fine for them.
Yeah, but again, they're not really going to bring all of their heroes out of all their lanes in order to get that kill. Bottom lane, EGM got a little bit of something down towards bottom. Not a ton, because that didn't really last super long. And Nikwa, he was kind of hanging around mid the entire time. Not sure if they were actually going to need that Viper there. So it doesn't really cost 4 Clovers a lot to go on what probably should have been a much shorter chase. But hey, I mean, doesn't matter. Got kill, right? Now the MVP side, losing the gyrocopter is really, really going to sting. I guess you can make the argument that maybe even losing the hero is even a little bit more hurtful. They need this liquid fire so that once they get this, well, they have Medallion on QO. Once they have that, once they have the maxed out liquid fire, then they can start actually looking to take these towers down. His 4 Clovers, they're farming pretty well. This Batrider is very close to his blink.
And that'll be a very crucial item for them. But even without the Blink Dagger, Sexy Bambo is going to go for a smoke into the enemy woods. I think he wants to find Alchemist stacks, but looks like QO has already found all of those to completion on the right half side of the jungle, but on the left he does have 2 double stacks to work with. And he sniped this. This is so deep from Bambo. They have wards. The Alchemist knows that the Batrider's around the corner, and Bambo needs to get out of here, but he has not a clue of where the No. He saw the Alchemist rotate around the corner, so he should be privy to the fact that he's there. But now Bambo's a tad deep, one would say.
I don't think he went over any vision of MVP, so they should not know that he does not have a TP right now. So
yeah, this is true.
Yeah, Batrider's fine. However, Nikwa may not be fine, because here comes literally everybody. They have a cast, and they have the Acid. Stun is going to be there. They do have the Doom, but they don't even need it. Dubu will just leave, chop off his mana and health, but Shakiro's going to end up getting that last hit. Liquid Fire only level 2, not exactly a skill point where you want to go for tower pushes, but you got to kill on the Viper. You might as well get something off of it.
And in the end, Bambo's going to be able to use his secondary Firefly to be able to mop up the rest of those stacks, and now has the Blink Dagger Gold. That's a very successful rotation from Bambo, because it allows the Tiny to freely use the jungle space that usually at this 10 to 11 minute mark would be given to the Batrider to just push him over the edge to that Blink Dagger.
Tower does fall. It is MVP's third tower of the game, actually, and very nice of QO to let us all know what the plan is here for MVP, although I don't think anyone should be surprised. It's time to push, push, push. And this is a big indicator of that, as if we didn't have enough indicators. Doom is a Blade Mail. It's not a bad item to get on a Doom, but as far as first items are concerned, you really have to be looking for an aggressive playstyle, an aggressive fight to do it, and they actually have found an opening. EGM, no, it's actually getting Pycat to take the stun. Call down is going to land onto 2 heroes. EGM does not have his relocate out, and Pycat, he's just getting kite as hell and bad, and he's going to fall, doing absolutely nothing but an avalanche before dying. That's a 2 kill for MVP, and they want to go for mid lane kills, they want to go for creeps. Well, they're going to get something else outside of this, because they just took a really, really huge step in this game.
Yeah, that was a really nice decision from QO to go for the stun onto the Tiny. It's only a level 5 IO without any relocate. There's not much hope for them to actually be able to get out of there. The Dire Sentries have been plunked down, but the wards are deeper from MVP, and I don't think 4CL were expecting it to be that close. Now here comes QO, another stun. It looks like this one again is going to stun himself. But he should be just fine with this. All of these early fighting items, I think, are going to help out MVP a truck ton. Brev, with that Blade Mail, is going to pop it. Pycat can't drop the full combo onto him now. We'll just drop the Avalanche. Try to run away. Net drop down onto Nikwa. Spirit Breaker is over on the south as they lasso up Brev. Pull him back into the tier 2 tower. Slow down, toss in the air. The Doom is very tanky, but not tanky enough. Cask is going to be thrown. Pycat will fall. Double kill for MP. Now looking for EGM. Try and get Black Cannon shots off of the tower. Not going to be successful in that. Spirit Breaker on the backlines will be able to kill off Ryzen. Now another stun from QO. Can he actually find a mark? And he will. It's going to be on Nikwa. The tower is dropping. MP incredibly low. Texa is going to get the double kill. 3 for 3. Not over yet. Charging forward. Kills off the Witch Doctor and a bloodbath in the middle lane.
Very surprised that 4 Clovers took that fight as well as they did. Saxa was running around with absolutely no answer. I mean, he was just beating down on heroes without them returning fire at all. So that's why we see the Spirit Breaker now level 10 with now 2,000 gold. He cashed in hard after that fight.
He's the second highest level in the game and pretty much has a Midas.
I don't know how that happens, but sometimes it just happens. And then you have a carry Spirit Breaker on your hands. Something we don't see all that often, but certainly is truly scary. But
interesting.
That's not a Midas. That's definitely not a Midas. Those are power treads, Grandis.
2 racers.
You're lying to me.
He sold the bracer and then went for the chainmail. He had almost 2050, but he wants to go for the more aggressive fighting items. I think it's fine. Blink and stun onto Pycat. Double damage punches from coL, and they'll be able to bring down the Tiny and relocate him from EGM. You don't want to be here. Can he get out? He'll be able to tether, and he should be.
I was going to say, MVP, you expect like the Medallion Solar Crest to eventually build up for Alchemist, but they were really lacking a lot of catch potential, but now they have it. I mean, they have the Blink Dagger. It wasn't exactly super needed for that Tiny kill specifically, but Blink in Unstable Concoction, it is maxed out with the minus armor from both Acid and Medallion. Here it is, onto Nikwa. So much damage, just one hit. Of course, double damage is there, but this is a dead Viper. Or it can get anything off. This is a very old style of playing Alchemist. Usually it's Shadow Blade, but I mean, as long as you can initiate, right, it doesn't really matter because now they're going to get these towers down.
This style of Alchemist is so much more fun to watch. Blink and stun on Saxa, and the Spirit Breaker is probably going to go down here. Can he get the charge out? Ooh, Ask is going to cancel it, and Saxa is going to fall. No way out, as Alchemist is going to punch down. Only his second kill of the game, but he's 2-0 and 10. He's been so involved with the rest of his team, and I'm absolutely digging it. MVP are playing Alchemist in a way that I'd like to see a lot more. It's something that the South American teams do every once in a while, but that's entertaining. And now up to 2,000 gold. I think that's his full Solar Crest. It's ridiculous.
I don't think he needs anything else before he completes up this Solar Crest. Just get a little bit more damage. Of course, they've seen the survivability there as well. It is going to be that Solar Crest. But the question, of course, lies here for MVP. Is this going to be enough? Because this was their game plan. Take all these tier 2 towers, and you even mentioned in the draft that going up high ground, up against Bat Riders, specifically up against the split push, is going to be a struggle. It's something that they don't necessarily have to do should they get very, very far ahead. Now, they are ahead, 2,000 experience, 7,500 net worth, but my concern for MVP is that though they're doing very well right now, actually ending the game with this type of style is going to be the hardest part of their game, assuming 4 Clovers are actually ready for defense.
Yeah, and Batrider has pretty much everything he needs for the defense. Ooh. Yeah, Saxa, a lot of trouble. Solar Crest is there, level death dropped onto him. Ice Path is going to be deployed. He doesn't have a charge anymore, and there is no way out of here, as Jakiro is going to get it with the dot.
I don't know how Jakiro is getting all these kills, man, but he's doing it. Oh, this Batrider illusion. Run, Batrider.
So dead.
It got hit once, though. And draw on the Urn Charge. He has 2 more. It's fine. 4CL know exactly what's going on right now. There's no way that they don't. Now we have to look to see how baller Bambo is.
History's an indicator. Pretty baller, and he gets the Flame Break up to the high ground. He has no TP and no real way down from here for Ev. Now that's just awkward. You can't do much about it.
Burn, Zoom. Here's some karma. No, not yet. Karma will wait at 10 stacks of napalm. Oh, he missed the napalm.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Blink in. QO is now with his buddy.
Why did you go up there, QO? Oh, he gave Doom a TP.
Oh, nice. What a team player, this Alchemist. 2-0 and 11. Oh! Forev, we might have a situation here, dude.
Dude, an Alchemist just leaves. He's like, screw you, dude. You're on your own.
It's over.
Did you 4 Clovers know that the Doom is still up here?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, now they do. Well,
just leave him. I mean, he's stuck there for.
Dude, but if you go into Roche, he's gonna use Scorched Earth, and then you take so much damage.
This is true. Yeah. So don't go into Roche. Continue farming on the other lanes like they're doing now. Nikwa's up in top. The Tiny's getting a little bit of space. And that play from Bambo not only is going to stick the Doom on that cliff for a while, but it stops the Roshan attempt dead in its tracks.
I want to say 17 minutes about is when that flame break happened. Kyo's going to try again to make a delivery. 20 seconds away, and Batrider's still kind of here. So, I asked the question, how baller is Bambo? Seems like the answer might just be infinity. He's infinitely baller right now. The rest of his team also, doing things while this is happening, but this is just so much more interesting, guys. Top lane is being pushed, and the Tiny is there for Ev. He has a TP, but he knows that he's being tracked up by the Napalm consistently.
He can't actually TP here, but the rest of the team wants to fight up towards top. QO is going to blink in, looking for the stun, getting juked inside the trees. Call down's on the deck. The stun is going to latch onto QO and onto Nikwa both. And Bambo, as well as Forever, just casually stacking up Napalm as the fight's breaking out on the left-hand side. Nether Strike onto the Gyrocopter. They'll be able to bring him down. Now QO is getting bashed. Witch Doctor ultimate canceled by the Avalanche. It did a good amount of damage to Nikwa, but is it quite enough? The Alchemist will also fall. Doom onto the Batrider is going to secure the retreat of the Doom, but the fight up towards north is not done yet. Pycat Urn Looks like that's going to be lethal. There's no way out for this Tiny. He's going to fall. Now looking... That cancels Axis TP, unsuccessfully so. And that's going to be 69, the total kill score after all of that's done. It's ridiculous that the Doom had to commit his ultimate to just join that fight, but it ends up not being as terrible as it could have been. Still good for 4CL.
He was up there for a good minute and a half, so if he was still up there afterwards, then I'm pretty sure 4 Clovers would have been okay taking a losing fight if that means taking the Doom out of the fight for at least another teleportation cooldown. That being said, he did of course have to use his ultimate, and that type of fight where MVP or where everyone is just clustered up in these trees without Batrider, kind of awkward for Clovers to take. Now this side is really a team that's comfortable taking that, but I do think that the result of that fight is not really as important in the grand scheme of this game as the fact that as compared to when that fight actually happened and where it happened. It was on the MVP side of the base. 4 Clovers were able to drag the
Pycat.
Cool.
He really wants to go. He's waiting for backup. Dead Blade's about to wear off. Avalanche toss. Witch Doctor.
And no response, it seems. There's a Yule Scepter here.
But here's the blink in. Yule's up onto the Batrider. The missile's going to fly after the Tiny. A Sexy Bamboo's dropped in the ice path. 4 staff away. He's going to buy a little bit more space as the Viper is on the front lines. Nico with a lot of minus armor, and the Rocket Barrage is dropping really quickly. Avalanche thrown out. Charge forward. MP will fall. Ryzen maybe soon to fall afterwards. That Shadowblade hit pretty darn hard, but the Io's blown up, and Sax is running through the acid spray, burning down. Double kill for Forev. Now another stun. The Doom Pycat takes so much damage with that Solar Crest. Oh, there's the Craggy. Now here comes EGM, healing up Pycat. The Doom is expired. Bambo, round 2, gets the lasso onto coL. Going to leave him in place. They'll bring down the Alchemist. Now Forev has to run away. It's really hard to run away from this Tiny, though. They will leave the Io back in base. Oh my goodness! With the level death and the Witch Doctor ultimate, they'll be able to kill off the Tiny. Sexy Bambo's around the corner, blinks away from the Witch Doctor, and everything will slow down a bit.
That was, I think, a 4-for-4 exchange. The Io was forced to buy out there. For Io to buy out, I mean, it's not really a terribly huge deal. Definitely made it worth the Io's while to do so. Yet that being said, again, it is a testament to how 4 Clovers are pushing the focus of this game away from the Dire side of the map and a little bit more towards the Radiant side. MVP, they want to be, with this draft at least, looking to end the game around now, actually. Like, take Raxes and look to take a really, really decisively huge lead. Now their lead, in experience at least, is gone. In gold is minor, but I guess still technically still there. 4 Clovers, they're defending their base by taking these fights so far away from their base. And this is exactly what MVP don't want to be seeing. They're going to smoke up, and if they get a couple picks, they can get right back in the driver's seat. But if they don't, then they may lose grasp on this game.
Yeah, it is going to get really hard. They aren't able to succeed with smoke inks like this one. They're going to roam onto the enemy side of the map, lead with coL. They have a stun queued up, and they're ready to blink in onto Niqua. Solar Crest stun, call down, everything in the kitchen sink. That's going to be a dead Viper. Around the corner, there's an Io. He was looking for the defensive relocate play, and that's going to be a dead EGM in just a bit. There's no real reason to bring any backup. Help me! There's no real help. There's yeah, nothing you can do.
They even drop a Sentry Ward just for whatever reason. I don't think there's any Glimmer Capes.
But if you had the money for a Shadow Amulet, maybe?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what they were trying to counter, and mission success. They got the Io kill. That was not exactly the goal. The goal was the Viper kill, and they also got that one, but now it's time to get right back in that driver's seat that I was talking about before and try to bust up the high ground. At this point, Shakiro's Liquid Fire, of course, is maxed out, and 4 Clovers, they kind of do need everyone to defend. Either that or they need the best Batrider initiation in the world into a straight Avalanche toss insta-kill. I don't really know if that's possible at this stage.
Tier 3 tower, at the very least, is going to be falling down. Bambo does have Blink Force Staff and Boots of Travel. It's probably just going to be too late. I don't know. This melee barracks is dropping down to about half. Bambo's going to blink in. Charge in from Saxa. Connects onto 4. They don't do him anything yet. Brev's going to get stunned up with a call down. They'll be able to bring them all very low. Doomed up. EGM will die to level death. 3 heroes hit the floor. Now here comes the Avalanche toss. Kills off the Witch Doctor. Lasso onto Brev. Brings him back under the melee barracks. Everybody's low. MP. The right click from Saxa is not going to be lethal. Do they have enough follow-up after it? Toss forward onto Ryzen. The attack speed's slow, and Spiritbreaker just can't get another shot off onto this Jagiro. Still inside their base. coL, can he get out of here? I don't think so. Avalanche is going to be thrown, slowed down. His blink constantly canceled. Maybe? No, not going to find a deny or anything of the sort. and Tiny is going to be able to secure that kill. What an absolute mess. It is going to cost them the buyback on Saxa, but 4CNL at the very least hold their melee barracks. Range and tier 3 have fallen, however.
That is a 3-for-3 exchange with Saxa's buybacks. I mean, if 4 Clovers, I guess they can call that a hold, but I'm not really sure if they can necessarily call that a victory. There were gems picked up on both sides. Looks like they are still in
MP relocating on top of him. Flamebreak is going to be throwing Avalanche, and he's down. TP, the tower is going to be canceled.
That is really costly for MVP. It is something that 4 Clovers do have as some of their tools in order to counter.
That was just a really good read coming out from 4CNL.
They
didn't actually have, ward vision for it. The Batrider was coming around the corner and he saw this was aggroed, and then
they just not done.
Oh, going in for round 2, charging at Avalanche, toss to the Tomb. Not quite lethal, which Dark Ultimate is going to be thrown. Not doing that much to Saxa, but Pycat has been left alone. That is going to be a dead Tiny. Still, that was just a really good read from 4CNL previously. The Batrider sees that the creeps are aggroed, and then they instantly go for the relocate there. It was really nicely done, but they stick around too long with the Tiny.
That is, I mean, the loss of the gyrocopter is like a swing towards four Clovers. Then they lose their Tiny, a swing right back in towards MVP. They still do have
a harder swing.
Yeah, they still do have their Jakiro alive with Liquid Fire, and I don't know, 4 Clovers keep on trying to go whole hog into this Doom, but he's so tanky. Yule Scepter will dodge that charge. Now Saxa hit with the stomp from 4, but they do get the lasso right into the Ice Path though. That's on to 3 heroes. Doom's on the Saxa. It's not really super useful right now as Raisin gets pulled back into the Dire base. He will fall. And will anyone else die? Seems like no, they're just going to leave. 4 Clovers, by making that pickoff, they get themselves at least another minute of gameplay where they're not going to be actively pushed.
The net worth graph pretty much tells the story of this game. It's very much topsy-turvy and back and forth between these two teams, and who knows who's actually going to be able to take it. Momentum has slowed down for MVP a little bit. Their window is not completely closed, though, even though they have been repelled the last couple of pushes.
The next round of items is definitely going to give us a surge of speed here towards the MVP side. The BKB, namely on the gyrocopter, just so that he can sit there and slow siege and, well, for the most part, be okay. Oh, relocate.
Onto the back lines, they are going to be able to bring down MP, it seems, and the gyrocopter will fall. Blinking and looking for the hook stomp. They're not going to be able to find it. They'll cancel the charge with the paralyzing cast, but with the Witch Doctor Death Ward, not enough to save the Alchemist. 3 heroes hit the deck for MVP as 4 Clovers are really running over this fight as they just kite for up to oblivion. No! The level death. They'll kill off Bambo, drop the gem on the deck, but that should be secured by 4CNL shortly. That is a Bambo for 4 trade, one that 4 Clovers will be happy with.
Small price to pay there, Bambo for 4, and that is maybe even going to be Bambo for Roshan because, of course, you find a double damager, and that seems fair for Pycat. He'll clean this one up with the help of Nikwa very quickly.
Yeah, they'll spot it. But it is important that MVP do lose their gem with 2 now secured by the side of 4CNL. The map control is going to be back in their favor a lot, and that fight very well could have been very formative for the rest of the game.
If you have a BKB on the gyrocopter, he may still die in that fight, but at least does a lot more damage before he does so. The fact that MVP are constantly losing their gyrocopter first in these fights is really hard for them to deal with, and most of this game where we've seen them MVP find success is off the back of this Alchemist, having that Blink Dagger, having the initiation on the MVP's terms. When 4 Clovers have initiation on their terms, whether it's through a Blink Lasso or a relocate or random Viper Strike landing, then MVP are just really scrambling for answers. They need to be able to take off someone from the fight first thing and then take the rest of the fight 5v4, and then that's really where they're at their strongest. But right now, 4 Clovers, they are doing everything that they need to do to stay in this game. But again, these items are coming up. The secondary set of items are coming up for the MVP side.
I think the biggest question is, what is coL actually going to be going for? He's sitting on 3,800 gold. Does he go back for Radiance?
There's nothing on the courier right now. I don't know if Radiance is necessarily the correct build. If MVP really want to look to end this game right now. Again, it is possible for to go for Radiance. First of all, picked up that relic. Straight Abyssal. That's the build he's gonna go for.
I wouldn't mind the Abyssal, but he just doesn't have the attack speed.
For MVP, this may be a signal that they're trying to shift gears. I don't think this is absolutely necessary just yet, but you're holding out to 3,800 gold. Can't really buy anything that'll help you significantly in the push. You might as well still get a really
we might be in for a big fight. Cat's coming in from the south, charging on the north. MP's going to pop his BKB and try to turn around, but the cooldown's really not going to do much of anything. They doom up EGM. Pycat's dropping low. The Witch Doctor is going to be able to turn around with a lot of damage onto the Tiny, but he has Aegis, mind you. And this fight's far from over. Zax is going to charge through onto Dubu, actually canceled by the Ice Path. Still, Pycat is up and trucking so much damage from the Tiny onto Forev. The Blade Mail's returning a good amount, but is it enough? Gyrocopter's going to be able to pick up one on the backlines. Double kill for him as they buy back on the Doom. Charging forward, Alchemist will fall, and that's a full 5-man wipe, plus the buyback force by Doom.
I don't know how 4Clovers keep doing it. I mean, they had 2 heroes completely stun-locked during that fight because Witch Doctor Cask is really good in certain situations. Death Ward, everything being landed on them. There was like a couple of 3-man ice paths. There was more than one. And when you have all those super cost-effective CCs, being able to land on that many heroes, you should really not be losing that fight. Again, it is a problem for MVP that they are having a really good start to that fight. In this time, it was, first of all, the Gyrocopter able to get his BKB off. He actually didn't get stunned, I don't believe, by the Spirit Breaker. I think he canceled it last second or something like that. But either way, the Spirit Breaker initiation wasn't very super clean for the 4Clovers side. They were able to take out a couple heroes right off the bat. Yet outside of that, they just run out of damage because the hero that they're not focusing is this Tiny. And Tiny, especially now with an Assault Cuirass completed, is an absolute monster.
It's a completely different fight if they don't have that Aegis, and if the Gyrocopter is actually able to land call down on any heroes, that not connecting made a pretty big difference for MVP there. Everything's kind of slowed down, and maybe that change of pace for the Alchemist is kind of warranted at this point, but maybe it's a little too late. I think one of the big advantages of going for more farming items on coL is the fact that Witch Doctor Aghanim Scepter could be absolutely amazing, and I don't think there's a great way for Dubu to actually get that gold by himself.
It is also worth noting that the Doom bought back and didn't do anything with that, so...
He didn't even get back to the fight.
Yeah, so a whole bunch of gold just being chucked down the drain for Ev's Doom. Whether it was going to be Shiva's Guard or Assault Cuirass, really it would be Shiva's Guard for a slower game, Assault Cuirass if they're looking to end it very soon. It doesn't really matter because he's nowhere close to either of those items now. MVP, did they just get a smoke delivery? No. Okay, well, Courier flew out for something, but it was not a smoke. Either way, they're pretty much now forced to play the slow game, and this is exactly where 4Clovers want to be. The pick-off power of Batrider, and of course the split push from IoTiny will do nothing but get stronger.
And also the pick-off power from the Tiny himself, and with Relocate on top of it, with the Spirit Breaker too. When you don't have map control, it's terrifying to play this game if you're MVP. The good news is that top lane's pushing out, so Pycat is going to TP up there and mop that all up. Still, it's going to be a long road for MVP to get back to a comfortable spot inside this game. If we take a look at the net worth graph, it's completely swung on its head, and just getting that range barracks up in the top lane hasn't done anything this game, I want to say.
I mean, you can't really fault MVP for
no.
making like a bad draft or anything like that, because I think this draft is working pretty much as well as it should have worked. If they take the melee racks instead of ranged on top lane, then I can guarantee that this game will not be looking the same as it is right now, where 4Clovers, I mean, behind a kill, but definitely very far ahead in momentum and definitely more in their wheelhouse. Just that fight going up on top lane, not exactly resulting in MVP's success by too much. Having the Doom clipped for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Like, these small things are just really hurting MVP right now, since this draft is one that will expire very quickly. We are in, for the MVP draft side, a position where they had a peak, are now in a really deep valley where Alchemist has gone for this farming item, will not be able to fight at least super effectively for a little while, but there is another peak in the future where Alchemist is nuts out of control and Gyrocopter 6-slotted and Doom is 6-slotted. It's still possible for MVP to win this in the late game, but it is going to be a lot of time where 4Clovers have a window where they can play the game that they want to play.
Yeah, I want to say they're not going to be able to reach that peak until like 50 plus. And it's going to take a while for them to be able to hold that out. Gyrocopter is going to be going towards, presumably, a Butterfly. And that'll be really helpful against the Tiny, who's nowhere close to an MKB, nor is he going for it. He wants the magic immunity, but that is going to be a very difficult thing to deal with for MVP. Their actual physical damage on this Tiny's very little to begin with, and then you have the Assault Cuirass up for him. Pycat's a monster.
It's going to be really difficult to kill off this Tiny, especially if 4Clovers wait until the next Roshan before they make a play. It was almost completely essential that Tiny had that Aegis when the fight happened up on top lane for the success of 4Clovers, but just chilling around Roshan for right now. Both sides should be very okay with that. The speed of the Alchemist farm is kind of mirrored by that Tiny's farm, so maybe not quite as fast for the Tiny, but still same idea, same game plan here for the 4Clovers and for MVP both. Items still are coming up, but this is really going to be the fight that determines the game, I think, this Roshan. If 4 Clovers win this fight, take the Aegis, then MVP, they really need a miracle. Otherwise, MVP can maybe even look to finish the game if they really take a great Roche fight.
MVP are going to be fighting into presumably 3 10-second BKBs in that Roshan fight, as Tiny's almost done with his. You have a fresh one up for Spirit Breaker and a fresh one up for Bambo. It's going to be really difficult. They've relied almost exclusively on being able to just lock down heroes consistently, and we saw previously, even when they do land a lot of good ice paths, they don't quite have the damage on top of it, especially when they are denied away, like the macro pyre, just all of these smaller things adding together. And the gyrocopters kit, he hasn't fully transitioned into physical DPS. It's going to be a hard sell, excuse me.
And this type of gameplay style is, I mean, for both teams, is really where you want to have ward coverage, where you need to have knowledge of where the opponents are, and that of course goes all the way back to the fight that happened down here on this bottom lane where the MVP side ended up losing their gem. It's just chilling in the 4 Clovers base right now, and the Batrider's walking around with the gem of his own. So MVP, they have a couple of wards up, mostly sentries, but should 4 Clovers go down there, and they'll just completely destroy MVP's chance of getting any sort of pickoffs, whereas for 4 Clovers, having this Observe Ward over in the mid lane is huge. If they see one poor sucker out of position, I could bet there's going to be a duo of heroes relocating in.
Poor sucker spotted. The Doom has shown, and they're completely comfortable fighting into the entire lineup as they have so many BKBs. Blink up to the high ground. Kilo is going to be controlled up. The call down is reasonably good, but the damage is just way too much from Pycat with his BKB pop. The Witch Doctor Death Ward is going to be a long channel, but is that enough? I don't think so. They buy back on the Alchemist. The doomed up Pycat is going to be able to run away cleanly, and that's not only 2 kills with the buyback on the Alch, and Kilo might be diebacking here. Dropping pretty low, 4-step away by his allies. They won't be able to maintain vision for him. Sax is over on the left-hand side. Concoction from the low ground will be able to secure that kill. However, with another jump in, they actually do kill off the Alchemist, and with Wisp Spirits no less, as EGM's going to be able to secure that one. Rising up into the air, defensive heals right into an avalanche. 4 heroes hit the deck for MVP, including a dieback from the Alchemist, and all they get is Sax's Spirit Breaker.
Okay, you don't need an Aegis for that fight if MVP blink in blind into the entire enemy base, if the entire enemy team rather, and then of course the enemies see them coming. BKBs go up on everyone, but I think the worst part there for MVP was that even though they do have a Death Ward, even though they do have an okay call down, you're calling down onto targets that are first of all really tanky, second of all magic immune, so I guess that means they're infinitely tanky versus the call down, but also you're going into a funnel up against a Tiny. He had, what, like 4 or 5 hits where it was hitting onto the Alchemist, and then I believe it was the Doom as well who jumped in, so they were clumped up. You would get so much value off of that Aghanim Scepter, and I do believe the IO wasn't even attached to Pycat the entire time. He was more so sticking with the Viper, that overcharge, and of course the heal, absorbing a lot of damage from that Witch Doctor's Death Ward. So the Tiny was doing a truckload of damage, and that wasn't even as much damage as they could have been doing should the IO have decided to overcharge the big rock monster. So MVP, they take a really, really rough fight, again, right outside their front door. And now 4 Clovers, they will soon have a chance to go into that Roche pit and grab another life.
Uneven footing. This is a really hard matchup carry-wise for the Alchemist against the Tiny, I mean. But he's 6,000 gold behind, and it looks like Octarine next, maybe? Something with a point booster, although this is a reasonable casual item in his inventory. Compare the HP pools of the Tiny and the Alch. It's not even funny. The Tiny's more than doubling him up with Magic Immunity, with 26 armor. The base stats on Tiny are insane, and Alchemists are abysmal. And he just doesn't have the items that have the same impact that he was inside the early fights. After starting out in a great fashion, he's gone 4-7 and 22.
I mean, it's still a pretty decent score for a hero.
Yes.
The problem with going for this Octarine, if it is going to be Octarine, is that, yeah, you will have however much HP, you'll have however much regen. Clovers don't care because Alchemist doesn't actually do anything in these fights anymore. Like, you compare him to Pycat, and it's just, it's not even close. And even the Viper, he's just doing so much more damage, so much more disruptive in this fight. Alchemist will need the Octarine and then another item, and that's really going to take a hell of a long time. It's still possible to see Kuro get to that stage, but I mean, I guess the alternative is Aghanim Scepter, and to be fair, MVP have some pretty good Aghanim Scepter upgrades. Witch Doctor, Doom Ag is legit, as is Jakiro's. Gyro probably not so much, but is that better? I don't really know. I feel like you kind of have to try to get this Alchemist full on carry mode at this stage, and that'll just take, what, another 10 minutes at least?
You need this Alchemist to have like 9 slots. He needs to have all of his 6 slots plus Moonshard, and then probably 2 Ags to pass out. And that's just not something that he can do given how the game has panned out, now the last couple of fights have been going. Granted, he is the highest net worth on his team, but when you're an ALK, you need to be the highest. Oh my god. Okay, Moonshard Tiny is ridiculous. They'll be able to take down Roshan so fast. Now, imagine that on towers. We saw the tier 2 bottom lane being taken down in 3 shots. It was not very healthy to begin with, but it's just going to be a couple of seconds. And MVP, they have a glyph. I'm not sure that's going to deter them. They have a double life and a 9-second BKB? Yeah, 9 seconds.
Well, at least they don't get coL picked off, but they still catch Dubu right now. Witch Doctor getting pulled, not really too close to any allies. EGM does come in, Pycat coming in really quickly as well, and Witch Doctor is not even going to take the hit from Pycat. It's still actually invisible. Okay, well, easy kill, I suppose, on probably the easiest kill target.
ALK. Oh, he really wanted that creep camp, but now Kyo spotted it. Avalanche is not getting back. He'll be able to blink out, and it looks like Alchemist. You're not out of the woods yet. You're actually going into the woods. Can he hide? Can he escape? Looks like the answer is probably yes. They might have caught vision with him. They're not going to be able to cancel anything.
Everyone else is going to live here for MVP. This range racks being down is going to slow 4 Clovers down a touch, but I don't really think they're going to care too much. Are there any items that are very close to completion that they're actually waiting for? Doesn't seem like there are. If I know my Dota, then I know in 30 seconds they're going to find a double damage rune, and then they're going to start looking for these tier 2s, mid and top. Because if it's anything but double damage rune, then I'll be really disappointed in Pycat's skill at this Tiny.
Yeah, fair enough. 327 base damage. Better than Rapier, actually, double damage rune.
I like finding Rapiers on the ground.
Yeah, especially ones you can't drop.
It's great. You don't want to drop it. You can't, it's glued to your hands. It's going to be right on this top rune spawn. Okay.
It's an illusion. The second best rune.
Get a quote-unquote Mantis style for your Tiny. They still do quite a hell of a lot of damage. Not necessarily double damage, but if you're looking to chip down tier 2s, I mean, it helps you do more damage. And I don't think MVP are really in a position where they can contest tier 2s. They're kind of now more so in this split push style as well, but you cannot do this very comfortably with as an Alchemist. He does have a Blink Dagger, so if he does see a relocate, he will be able to get some distance. But here comes a charge, and I'm pretty sure Io is ready to go in just a couple seconds.
He is going to have his Octarine soon, so Q is going to be able to buy that out before going down, but yeah, he's charged up, and I don't see him being able to escape. Pycat's on top of him, and Q will fall. Unfortunately, he's not able to get the deny there, but that's an Alchemist down for 70 seconds. Monster kill free for Pycat, and they don't really commit all that much for it. The relocate is going to yank them right back into the top lane, where there's a tier 2 for the taking.
Viper's already starting on that one. The Spirit Breaker is going to have his charge interrupted, but doesn't matter because this push stops for no one. I mean, this Jakiro is, as far as heroes go, really good at counter pushing, but you can't counter push Pycat. Like, he doesn't care.
Even with the attack speed slow, he has so much attack speed that it really doesn't bother him too much. He has the BKB if he really does need to take that off himself. Tier 3 tower is gone. Melee Barracks probably soon to fall afterwards. They still have 2 minutes on this Aegis. This is just conceded Rax, and oh, they catch out MP! Nice lasso back by Bambo. They are going to throw a Doom. BKB popped by the Gyrocopter, but tossed back down to low ground on Prep. They lose EGM. That's at least something. Pycat is dropped down to less than half HP. Still has the Aegis, but doesn't have his BKB anymore. Everything's just falling off of the wheels for MVP. As Fareb is trying to run back into his base. Triple kill for Nico. I chose the wrong fight to watch. Tiny will mop up the rest of that barracks as in mid, Nico and Saxa were cleaning house.
You kill off the Tiny, he still has an Aegis, and he kind of got low, but low for Tiny is still 1,000 HP.
Even kill him.
Nico was at like full HP the entire time, and still, for some reason, I don't know how, still has a 10-second BKB charge because he actually didn't have to worry about anyone doing damage to him. Someone's gonna teleport in for Ev. I don't know if that's the best idea right now. He's gonna put a Blade Mail. Pycat is gonna kill himself against that Blade Mail, but doesn't matter. They should be able to get for Ev regardless, and yes, Nico is gonna grab both those kills. Pycat, of course, has the Aegis, and MVP. They were so close, man, but
they were so close.
Yeah, just not quite good enough.
I enjoyed that early game a lot. It was really well coordinated, and the Alchemist rotating around, getting a lot of kills for the team, but it really just came down to that one hold up towards top. After that, it kind of felt like MVP fell flat. All of their momentum was kind of gone. They weren't able to ever get back on their feet. 4 Clovers just fought really well, I think is the end takeaway. Their execution inside the team fights was, in general, on point.
It was, like, first of all, the